Welcome everyone to the Fountain Committee meeting. With me here today are Carl Sprague, Bob Jones, Mike Buffoni, and Roxanne McCaffrey. And I'm going to share out the agenda.
Well,
Moment.
I think that's it. Okay, all right, fine.
I hope this is the right agenda. Yes, it is. Okay, so on the agenda, we have review the minutes from December 9th. Let's see how I get this thing to come down. A brief update on the Timberwolf contract and the Community Preservation Act application. And Bob has an update from Stu Lambert and any other business. So let's start with the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
Yeah, they looked good to me. I'd move to approve the December 9th minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Any comments or anything else on that? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. That's Carl, I, Bob, I, Kate, I, and we are all set. Okay, in terms of the contract with Jeff Gulick and Timberwolf, that has been signed. I did check Jeff's references. I called, contacted 4 different people. They were, his references were excellent. Susan Whistler from the Mount gave him a reference. The firm out of Rhode Island, Grandy Restorations, was another. And then I spoke with 2 private residential customers who he had done work for, and they all had excellent experiences with him. One reference was pretty interesting in that Jeff had done a whole range of other, besides restoration type masonry work, he had done a whole range of other things for this customer. So I'm wondering if, well, we'll wait and see what Bob has to say about the conversation with Stu. I've submitted a community, an application for funding for the remaining work, the more sort of the masonry and capstone and utility sort of restoration type work to the Community Preservation Act. I think you all have copies of that.
When is that? Remind me when that meeting is. You've told me about 100 times, but is it? I mean, I mean, when they're meeting in the beginning of February?
You know, I have to check that date, and once I know, I will send that around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if that's, I don't know how. I mean, I assume they'll Zoom, but you know, whatever. I mean, if even if it's in person, I'd be happy to go and sit in on that. I think sometimes it's important to, you know, to have a face in the, you know, have people's faces there.
I agree, definitely. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I'm pretty certain they would Zoom at this point,
Yeah,
given,
I'm sure.
you know, everything going on. So, but I'll check into that, and I'll send that date around to so everybody has it.
Because there are, you know, I mean, I think I don't know how, you know, the math is going to work out, but there are definitely a lot of different historic preservation applications that they're going to be juggling. I mean, I think we're, you know, right up there in terms of our prominence, and we've done our homework, and you know, it's and I don't think there's anything, you know, that questionable about the fact that now that we've, you know, gone through, you know, serious design study and putting things out to bid and so forth, that you know, we come back with more information saying, like, you know, well, you know, this is what our budget really needs to be, but you know, I'm sure.
I think we're in the final stretch, and we've been incredibly patient. So
That's for sure.
my hope is that we are almost there. So next on the agenda, Bob, do you want to provide us with an update on your conversation with Stu?
Sure. Well, I know that Mike knows Stu Lambert. Stu Lambert was the mason, the chief mason up at Tavidians for a long time. He did the fountains in the main gardens and all kinds of work with us, and most famously the wall along Prospect
Great
Hill Road.
wall, yes.
Great
The
wall.
wall. And which, by the way, the town crew used to drive by when they were building it and yell Trump, Trump, Trump.
Oh, build the wall.
Build the wall, build the wall. So
Well, now where's Stu based out of?
Stu actually lives in Pittsfield, right up on the Lanesboro border.
I've heard of him before, but I mean,
Well, he's an excellent mason.
Right.
He really is a very, very bright guy and a very good contractor, I should add. But anyway, I came to rely upon him for a lot of things at Tavidians, including working on the fountains there. He was an integral part of all of that. Anyway, some time ago, I went down and looked at the cat and dog fountain with Stu, and we looked at the capstones, but it was quite some time ago. So I recently, a few weeks ago, I asked him to stop by and take a look at the capstones, and unfortunately, the cover was already in place. And he was rather reluctant to give us a bid or even a ballpark figure without actually seeing the capstones. So I guess he met with Mike. He met with you.
Yeah, myself and Hugh, the highway superintendent.
Right, with Hugh, who also worked on that wall up at Tavidians.
Correct.
And Hugh's a great guy, by the way. I think he
is.
Anyway, I guess the idea would be, Stu has said to me that he suggests, rather than start throwing figures around, that he would, for no charge whatsoever, spend 2 or 3 hours, come down with his guys, and do some test holes around the bowl itself, and once the cover is off, around the bowl, around the capstones, to see actually the thickness of the bowl. He also suggested that rather than cut a slot to get plumbing in and that sort of thing, that he might actually be able to, do maybe a horizontal bore or something, so where you could actually come up with the plumbing right underneath the fountain itself. But he said that for 2 or 3 hours, he would come down and give us an assessment at no charge whatsoever. And I've known him long enough to know that that's exactly what he would do. And I just think it's a prudent approach. I know we're anxious to get some figures in place, but I think that the wise and prudent thing would not be to know exactly what we're talking about and come up.
I'm sorry.
And to come up with the best plan possible. Then for the bowl itself, I mean, once we have an assessment of the bowl, that bowl is full of cracks, and I know they've tried to patch it time and again. But ideally, we're talking about the possibility of doing like some gunite or something like that to seal the whole thing. And then we would also know for sure whether we would have to bring the base of the bowl up to meet the 26-inch code that's required by the state of Massachusetts, not to fence the pond, so to speak.
It's pretty close, but I haven't really really surveyed what that is, you know.
Well, Ned, I can tell you that Ned is a stickler for it, so maybe we won't have to. Hopefully, we won't have to.
Well, I just don't know what the actual measurement is, but I mean, I think that raising if the bottom of the bowl,
we would just have to figure out what the finished water height was going to be, and
we'll keep an eye on that.
Yes, right, and because Ned's going to be a stickler on it, and understandably, it's the code. But anyway, I would highly recommend waiting until the cover comes off, get the cover off at the earliest possible date, and let's do that assessment, because we're going to be way ahead if we are dealing with reality rather than trying to surmise the situation.
Okay, Roxanne, you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Bob. I'm just curious, the 26 inches, is that the depth of the water or the overall depth?
No, that's the depth of the water. Any pool or pond or fountain or anything like that, if it's deeper than 26 inches, you're required to put a fence around it. Obviously, we don't want a fence around the cat and dog fountain. So we would just have to, as long as we're doing this work, we would make certain that the maximum depth would be 26 inches.
And
Okay.
Roxanne, one of the footnotes to that is that a part of the goal of the restoration project here is to is to bring the water level back up closer to flush with closer to the capstone level, because right now it's just a little puddle in the bottom of the fountain. And but if you look at
Right.
photographs and so forth, it's very nice to see the surface of the water and the reflections on it, and you really get a sense that it's something. But I think that if it's not literally 26 inches, it's not going to be a big deal to to raise the bottom of that.
It's not a big deal. It's not.
Yeah, well, it sounds like if you're talking like sealing with gunite or something, I'm sure you could probably bring the bottom up some.
Yeah.
In that
Yeah.
process.
If
potentially.
needed.
Roxanne, question for you. It sounded like I watched the section of a recent select board meeting where Mike did an update on town projects, and including the intersection and the work that's going to be done to sort of make those painted surfaces more bumpy.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping, I saw that there was some comment from the public, from Buck Smith specifically, and I'm just hoping that what is planned is not going to be reopened for some type of invasive solution like a roundabout. Just kind of hoping
Well,
that's
I can tell you, here's where we stand, is we're waiting for the final numbers. And this will go obviously to town meeting to be voted on in terms of moving forward. In terms of starting from scratch, it makes absolutely no sense. We've done exactly what was voted on at town meeting, 10%, 110,000 or whatever it was to do the engineering study.
Wait, you're cutting out a little bit. Can you?
I know my dog is barking. I'm sorry. But hang on, let me let him out and I'll be right back.
Okay. I think we should make sure that we note that Roxanne's dog was in attendance at the meeting also.
State required.
Let the minutes reflect.
Yeah, my dog doesn't like the idea of the roundabout apparently. So.
Roxanne, Carl was saying we need to know your dog's name so we can state that your dog was attending this meeting.
Oh yeah, Bixby. But so we've proceeded based on what was voted on and approved by the voters, and we've done that. We were presented with these various options and we weighed them, and as a select board we made a decision of which one we should pursue. Now going forward, obviously, to allocate the funds, etc., to proceed, that goes to town meeting. So, but I have no intention of wanting to go back to square one. One of the comments was that, we need to use professionals. Well, that's exactly what we've done. We're using the exact same engineering firm that we started with.
Roxanne, this is slightly, it's a little bit off topic from the fountain.
Thank you. Thanks,
But
Roxanne.
I'm curious, has there been any feedback or noticeable effect of the painted, of the painted markings there? I mean, I see them, I sometimes I try to pay attention to it, sometimes I frankly can't, because someone's plowing in from, Church Street or whatever.
Exactly. We still, it's been interesting because we've all been watching this and observing it. And obviously the police department has as well. And I do have the statistics. I don't have them in front of me, but We had quite a bit of traffic this year. It was slow in the beginning of the summer, like June. And then it picked up and it was pretty typical. I just talked to Daryl Fennelly about this yesterday. So it was pretty typical. We had fairly heavy traffic, particularly August, September, up until we had this latest COVID-19 surge. So we kind of think this is a fairly good test because we still had a lot of visitors this summer and a lot of people passing through. And what I noticed personally is that initially people were ignoring the lines, but over time, I think several of us have actually observed is that there is a little more guidance and that people have paid more attention to it. We still have bad drivers. And the whole idea of using the mountable pavers is going to do a lot more to stop people from crossing over through the center of the intersection and not making proper turns. So that's the hope at any rate.
I mean, I think that it has slowed people up a little bit. I know it slowed me up.
Well, it slows you up if you're trying to make like a 45-degree turn as opposed to a proper 90-degree turn. So yeah, but they haven't, as far as I know, as far as Daryl's report to me is there hasn't been any big, backups of traffic or any particular problems.
Yeah, I
That
didn't know
they feel it's safer.
that happening.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. So I think that's all we have, unless Mike, did you have anything or?
No, I just when we met with Stu and Huey, we just went over some pictures that I had and the spec book and just reiterated to Stu that the big unknown is what's underneath. So that's why he was like Bob said, he needs to get down there and dig around with the shovel and just verify what is underneath that thing and what's under the capstones for a foundation and what's underneath the bowl. And he said to core drill into the cut and a slice right through the bowl if it can be done, and that's what he'll propose. So it's a lot less invasive to the structure, and there's a slice through it for future moving around and settling and frost getting at it and future cracks in the bowl. So yeah, and to also reiterate what Bob said, if we could have Stu and his guys there, that would be great because he is a phenomenal concrete guy and just a smart guy all around. He's a brilliant mind when it comes to construction. So it would be great to have him involved for sure.
Great. Okay.
Meanwhile, I have, I mean, Kate and I talked about this informally, but, and so I think we kind of left it like, leave, let Jeff and Timberwolf sign their contract and get that dealt with. And I've been not paying attention to him, but they've done that.
Yeah, his contract is signed.
But now, but the question is, I mean, should one of us reach out to him and find out where he's at?
Yeah, I was just about to say that I think the next step is that I'll be in touch with Jeff to find out what his
and if I can help with that, let me know. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, it's of course now like here we are with 6 inches of snow. So
crisp weather, but it's spring. The light is changing.
Well.
So Roxanne, is there anything that you need from us? Any questions? Anything you want us to do? Or
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
No, I think you're moving along just fine. And like you said, the contract is signed.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how the CPC funding goes.
Yeah.
But I have high hopes.
Right. I mean, it's the kind of project where at this point, if we don't have the funding to complete it, it's not like something you can do piecemeal.
Yeah, not so much.
No, yeah.
So, all right, one step at a time.
I think ultimately, I'm really confident that the funding is going to come from somewhere, because this is a big deal. And you know what I think is going to happen? I think the most astounding results when this thing is finished is going to be how much we've missed over the last several years with that fountain not being up and running as it was meant to be. When that cat and dog, when it's spraying the way it's supposed to spray, when that water's up to the rim where it's supposed to be, it will be absolutely astounding, and people will be talking about it everywhere. So I think that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Right, and one other comment I have is that, hopefully the CPC funding is going to come through. But have you considered doing any kind of a fundraiser?
Yeah, that's on my, that's definitely on my mind, like a GoFundMe. And then, possibly donors. I mean, it is true that donors are looking for 501c3s because that's a tax deduction. And I've gotten sort of mixed information in terms of whether a contribution to the town can be considered a tax deduction. So it would be great if we knew definitively whether that a donation to the town would be a tax deduction, because that would greatly facilitate fundraising.
And, the fact of the matter is that, as much as the CPC is there, and I believe, like that we're a priority for them and that they've got the funds, and we're not asking for that much in the big scheme of things. But I mean, the fountains are both actually town property. I mean, I don't know what the deadline is for, for some reason CPC decides like, oh no, we've run out of money, we're giving it all to NOMCAG or something. I mean, I wonder what the deadline is for potentially getting in, I mean, it's going to have to go on the town warrant anyway to be approved for disbursement of CPC funds. But if CPC decides they don't have the money for it, I mean, does the town potentially like have an interest in just making funding available? I mean, I don't know what the situation is with free cash or anything like that, but it's less than buying a police car.
Well, the one thing that you can do is, as soon as you find out about the CPC,
yeah,
in the event that you don't get it, which I would be very surprised. Quite frankly, my own personal feeling about CPC funds is those are taxpayer dollars, and that this kind of a project should really take priority. It benefits the entire town. But that being said, if they don't come through, then I think that the immediate reaction would be to contact Michael Canales and look at, can we put together a warrant article?
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, and again, I agree with you, Roxanne. I'd be really surprised if the CPC mechanism, didn't work here. But in the unlikely event that it didn't, that would be what I guess I'm saying is like,
Yeah, that would be my advice, is to
Yeah.
immediately turn that around and,
Right.
contact town hall. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I mean, maybe it would be great if you can attend the CPC meeting, Roxanne, and
when is
help
that?
us advocate for the
It's
fountain.
not on the calendar yet, so
Not
as
here.
soon as we know, I'll try to make sure I'm there.
Okay, and then I mean, I don't know if you all saw the Community Preservation Act Coalition email that I forwarded around, but it has been a very good year for the Community Preservation Act, apparently, in terms of funds coming in. So,
Good.
yeah. All right, so,
All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, nope, I'm just
Okay.
was going to say thank you, Kate.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you so much, Mike Buffoni, and thank you, Roxanne, for being here. And thank you, committee members, Bob and Carl. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Great. So all in favor, Kate, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Great. Thanks again. And until we talk next time.
Very good. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, bye-bye.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.